This is an overview of the new Home2 Suites concept right next door to the Hampton Inn in Coral Gables, Coconut Grove. You can see the newly renovated Hampton Inn to the side, and then the new Home2 Suites right next door to it. And what I'm showing is the general massing, conceptual layout of it, obviously not showing all the windows and doors and such like that. As you can see, between the two buildings there is space, and part of that space will be used for the trash cans and dumpsters that I assume you will need. And then also you have public space behind that, so I'd probably have the trash cans, some landscaping, and a walkway and ramp up, so you have this space here. That's the existing service drive, and for the new Home2 Suites, I'm showing a drive up from the ground. So let's go ahead and go inside. The way you enter is right through that driveway. So it's basically like a parking garage ramp that comes up. And on this ground level, you have what is basically a surface parking lot. It's the same level as the Hampton Inn surface parking lot. So you will have a steep incline from the street. Exactly how steep it is and how it lays out will be dependent upon the survey for the property. I'm showing a stairwell in that location, parking all around, and these are accessible spaces, parking spaces, and the accessible path, the route that you're required to have from those spaces. The glass is the elevator vestibule, and then the wall behind it is where the stairwell would be. So the elevators and stairwells, you take a door here for the stairs, door on this side, go into the two elevators here. And that is how you would enter the hotel, is from this level. Of course, there will be openings. I'm thinking these will most likely be louvered openings across, so it looks like a continuous building and fits in with the brand aesthetic. Of course, there will be doors and other things to go through and exit the space, but generally speaking, hopefully this gives you an idea from the ground level. So you have two-way traffic going in and out of here. And this is 8 stories. You can do up to 10 with the bonus, but it's 8 stories plus the level of parking below that surface lot. Essentially, the parking is the same as far as the 2 levels, same as the Hampton Inn. What I'm showing here is the new location for the swimming pool. So swimming pool and spa for both hotels, and this does make you lose some parking spaces here and these parking spaces below. I would still have parking spaces in the equivalent of this area below. I'll call it the basement parking level, but this area you will of course lose the parking spaces with the new swimming pool. And the other part of that I want to mention is I would want to discuss with you where the public restrooms are located and how that could work, because potentially you might have to build more in this area for public restrooms, so that you have it if need be, or if they could use the ones that are at the Hampton. I'm also showing, just so you can see for reference, the existing curb and downspouts. Those would have to be modified, of course, to make this work. The railing is indicating the space to where you still have traffic come here and turn around the way it is right now, where you have a parking space and a turnaround. You just lose this side of the parking spaces. Ideally, this would not be a railing. It would be nicely landscaped, maybe have a planter, more of a barrier. The more you do that in order to get this to fit, the narrower the swimming pool becomes. So that's an item for discussion. And then ideally, architecturally speaking, it would be nice if you could, if we were going to rebuild this area, to push out and lose this landscape area along the side and add more landscaping in here potentially. So essentially, if you get rid of this 5 feet, you add 5 feet in here, you have a nice landscape area. But that is more costly, so it's something we can discuss as it goes along. So what I want to show you now is you can see the overall building shape from above. The city has one setback up through level 5. So this is basically level 6 starts here. Level 6 through 8 has an additional setback from the rear. So that's why the building steps like that, because that's the most you can build. Now let's go through the actual spaces. So I'll start with levels 6 through 8. So you can see here you have the stairwell, the elevators, elevator vestibule, and the other stairwell, the backup house area, service area, ice maker, the corridor, and then I have 13 rooms. And these follow the Home 2 Suite standards as far as sizes go and the variation. You're good on that end. This one room, we'll have to look at making some modifications and laying out how exactly it fits. But as you can see, I have this sticking out some to make sure we have enough room. But that's about the only variant from the standards where we need to examine exactly how it all works. So that's levels 6 through 8 with 13 rooms on each level. Next, we will go down levels 3 through 5. So as you can see here, the big difference is you now have 2 additional rooms. And I'm showing these as the larger rooms because you can use this space to have nicer rooms. Then also it allows you to have more parking below without having to jog the walls and confuse the structure. Just have a continuous wall down and have that parking area below. 2 more rooms, so there's 15 rooms on levels 3 through 5. And you can see everything else is the same. So it's real efficient, stacked layout. Next, I will go to level 2. And level 2, I'm showing this area, you can see, as open. So you have your stairwell, the stairwell and elevators which are needed, and then the rest of this space essentially is going to house everything that you need for the common spaces for the hotel. So the offices, the dining, the reception, everything on this level. And looking at the square footage of the standards, you should be good. This will have everything fit. You might have a little bit of extra room since we don't have the laundry facilities and some things like that. Once we get into the actual development, we can see how it all lays out, and if we're able to put another room or 2 in this space. But basically, the second level is all of the amenities, the public space, the common spaces to support the hotel, and then levels 3 through 8 are the hotel rooms. And we will continue going down. So this is level 1 that we already sort of walked through, and that is on the same level, as I said, as the surface parking lot. So all the parking spaces. So when you come in, you park your car, you use this aisle to bring your luggage up, and you go upstairs to the reception. I assume you'll need some wayfinding signs from the outside, but that's the basic idea. And like I said, it is possible if you wanted to connect these two that you could to have through traffic, but then you would lose parking spaces here, and we're very tight on parking, which I will mentioned. So I'm showing this as what I think is the best use, the most efficient use of space, considering that it is a very confined area. Now we go down to what I'll say is the basement parking. And as you can see here, we still have the elevators and staircase, elevator, vestibule, the other stairwell, and the parking spaces. The difference is that there is now an opening that I was mentioning between the two. So the only way in and out of this lower level of parking is the way it is right now by the Hampton Inn. So there's the one entrance exit, and essentially you're breaking through the wall and there's additional parking. And you're demolishing the existing staircase that's here, and now you have a new staircase and a new staircase back here. So this is extra parking. What's nice is you can access it from the elevator. So let's go back out and then I'll talk about the parking. So right now you have a total, the way it's laid out, of 84 rooms. So please tell me if that works. I hope that it does. Following the brand standards, that's really the best that I could get on the site. I was thinking I could have more the way I had it laid out before, but I did not have as much room for the elevator, vestibule in the back of house. I had it very minimal, and seeing the brand standards, I see that you need more space to comply with that. And in doing so, there are 84 rooms total. The parking, so according to the city's parking code, you're supposed to have one parking space for every hotel room and then one visitor space for every 15 hotel rooms. However, there are also exceptions where you can get a reduction of the parking requirement based on your proximity to public transit, which you have. So if we follow the city's calculations, you are actually 5 parking spaces short, what I show right now, of what they would typically require before getting any parking reductions. So I am hoping, and I believe that that is close enough to where with the parking reductions, reducing 5 spaces is essentially not much, especially when you have street parking and the public transit nearby. The Home2 Suites requirements on their standards says 1 parking space for each room, and you do definitely have that. So I hope that it is good from my experience staying at the Hampton Inn and also reading reviews, including on TripAdvisor, is that the surface lot tends to fill up, but below there are plenty of open parking spaces, and especially with Uber and Lyft and everything else, I feel that you will have plenty of parking. Again, that's up to you, but that's how I have been able to make it work, is you have more than 1 space for every room, and if you have an additional 1 space for every 15 rooms, including the Hampton Inn and Home2 Suites, you are only 5 short. So I think it's a good scenario. We're definitely pushing the boundaries, have to work with the city as far as getting all this to fit and putting in some landscaping, the windows, the doors, the louvers, etc. I think you'll get a real feel as we develop it, but this is where the concept is right now. I wanted to show you that I really did lay it all out, the rooms, the backup house, the parking, everything, and of course as we get a survey and additional information, we can lay it out precisely, but with the information at hand, this is how it is. So I hope you like it, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you very much.